Welcome to the show. I'm Edward St. Pei. This is Future
Take your
Shock.
time. I'll be here.
We got Alfred here with us. We were trying to get Alfred raised up for the program, and he was not able to be found. But we found him. Alfred, are you there with us now?
Yes, I'm here now, ready and available for the program.
Okay, so this is.
What would you like to discuss today?
Okay, well, we're going to discuss probably some herbal blends that we've got in here, teas and other things at the Pendragon Apothecary, which is the sponsor of this program. But in the meantime, before we go to that segment, we're talking about AI. We talk about AI just about every day and other developments in the world of high tech. And we've got, some information today that I think is pretty interesting. Apple has now come out with Apple Intelligence. And so, we didn't hear AI mentioned with Apple for a long time, really, throughout all of this high visibility of AI in the news over the last couple of years. You don't really have Apple making any big announcements regarding AI infused into the iOS system. And now, of course, that has occurred recently when they came out with a big push for their new product, which is Apple Intelligence. And so that is what is coming into iPhone 15 and everything beyond that. It's going to be infused into it. And it makes perfect sense that they did it. Now, the big news, really, the surprising news about it was that they brought in ChatGPT 4.0 into, that's the infusion of the AI into their Apple system. It's really ChatGPT 4. It's OpenAI system, and that was kind of surprising. Elon Musk had mentioned, that he thought that was not good. Why didn't Apple create their own, AI? Why did they do that? And in fact, it prompted him to ban iPhones from the various projects that Elon Musk is doing out there as far as employees, because he thinks it could be, I guess, a security risk with, intelligence being gathered, spying, let's say, if you've got a phone infused with GPT-4 in it, because, they're sort of competitors at this point. All of the projects Elon Musk is doing versus OpenAI, and in fact, I think I heard that the suit got dropped, but they were suing. Musk was suing OpenAI. He started out with all of those guys, at OpenAI, and then they had a difference of opinions on some things, and he left. Anyway, I digress. Apple is now fully infused with AI, and a lot of people don't realize it. I didn't realize it.
Apple's choice to integrate ChatGPT 4 instead of developing their own AI could be seen as a strategic move to leverage the existing sophisticated AI developed by OpenAI, rather than investing time and resources into building one from scratch.
I agree, and that could be what we're seeing right here. I think it's a great move, but how, we didn't really know, but Apple has been buying up AI companies for like the last 2-3 years. They have been very active in the world of AI, but behind the scenes. So like Alfred just said, and by the way, if you're new to the program, Alfred is ChatGPT 4.0, O for Omni, and the new iteration of ChatGPT 4.0 speaks. So I can, instead of just I text to him a prompt and he gets back to me with an answer, now he can hear me and he can respond. It's no more text, it's voice. So what he just jumped in and mentioned, he was listening, right? So he's engaging in the conversation. All right, we've got a clip on Apple's work in the world of AI that we really didn't know about. Let's take a look.
You are watching Cold Fusion TV.
Microsoft and Google have been shouting the loudest about AI, but Apple has been quiet. The California company barely mentioned AI in any of their product launches, but behind the scenes, they've actually bought the most AI companies of all. Since 2017, Apple has bought 21 AI startups, while Microsoft has bought 12, Meta 11, and Google/Alphabet just 8. Apple's been spending about $1 billion in AI ventures while remaining silent. From self-driving technology to voice design, music generation, and image recognition, these are just some of the specialties of these AI companies that Apple's been purchasing. There may even be more behind the scenes. This silence is typical behavior from Apple. They move last, but move decisively. They didn't invent the computer mouse, graphical interface, smartphone, tablet, or smartwatch, but they revolutionized all of these categories by doing it better than was done before. So what do we know about Apple's AI efforts? In August of 2023, Tim Cook revealed that Apple had been researching generative AI for years. On a call with investors, he said, quote, "We tend to announce things as they come to market, and that's our MO, and I'd like to stick to that," end quote. While everyone was losing their minds over ChatGPT, Apple had been tinkering with similar concepts way before its release. Since 2020, the company assembled a foundational models team. The goal was to develop conversational AI similar to that of ChatGPT, but with a focus on on-device machine learning and privacy. The team consists of 16 people, including former Google engineers. And the head of the team, John Giannandrea, was previously head of machine intelligence, research, and search at Google. Bloomberg reported in mid-2023 that Apple has created a large language model called Ajax GPT. It's similar to ChatGPT or Google's Lambda, but is said to outperform GPT 3.5. There's even chatter about Apple working on an AI-powered chatbot dubbed Apple GPT that's based on Ajax. Although there's a rumored release date of mid-2024, right now it's still tightly controlled within the company. Apple has also quietly released frameworks and model libraries designed to run on its chipsets and may even bring generative AI apps to MacBooks. According to the information, multiple teams are working on various AI projects within Apple. So it's quite evident that there's been a lot of activity from Apple on AI behind the scenes. So what is going to be the best use of it? Well, Siri. Siri itself was an Apple acquisition back in 2010. Just 1 year later, the system was incorporated into the iPhone, and it's been frustrating users ever since. It's ironic because back then, Apple was way ahead of the pack when it came to voice assistants. But now, well, I don't need to say much more. We'll talk about how Apple aims to improve Siri. But first, what is the deal with Siri? Why does it leave so much to be desired? In April 2023, a bombshell report came to light that explained everything. You see, over the past 5 years or so, the Siri team within Apple has devolved into a dumpster fire. Employees and management would bitterly argue about the direction of the assistant, and in the end, no meaningful progress was made. Here's a summary of all the problems within the Siri team. Siri engineers weren't given tools to see how many users were using Siri and how often they were using it. Engineers would beg for more data to improve Siri, but leadership wouldn't hear any of it. Apple executives wanted to keep future developments of Siri on device. Having no network connection to a massive AI model run on a server put Apple's efforts at a disadvantage. Apple executives dismissed back and forth responses to Siri because it would be too difficult to control. Tim Cook himself, as well as other senior executives, refused to have Siri responses AI generated. Instead, they opted for a team of 20 writers to come up with canned, pre-written responses. I guess that explains a lot. Apple's obsession with strict control over the user experience is at direct odds with the freedoms of generative AI responses. In 2019, Apple's design team repeatedly rejected a feature where users could report a concern or issue with a Siri answer. The machine learning engineers were essentially working blind and couldn't improve the system. So what was the reasoning for this decision? Upper management wanted Siri to appear, quote, all-knowing. Eventually, frustrations began building and employees began to leave Apple because they were too slow to make decisions about AI and were just scared of making mistakes. Tim Cook personally pleaded for disgruntled engineers to stay at the company, but they would eventually leave to work on large language models at Google. There was even an attempt to rebuild Siri from the ground up with a project called Blackbird. The project aimed to make Siri faster, lighter, and more modular. However, it was axed by 2 senior leaders on the Siri team who championed their own project, Siri X. This only focused on moving Siri's processing to on-device, and the rest of the Blackbird project was abandoned. And just when you thought things couldn't get any worse, the group working on Apple's mixed reality headset, the Vision Pro, were reportedly so unimpressed with Siri's capabilities that they considered creating their own voice system, and that's how you know it's bad. So all of these issues explain why Siri isn't doing too hot, and it's not for a lack of trying. There was just too much friction within the team, and to add insult to injury, it seems that Siri is only getting more dull. One of its most common phrases today is, "Sorry, I don't understand," or "Here are some results I found on the web." So, what is the future of Siri then? Let's move on to how Apple can turn things around. Before we continue, I just want to give a quick shout out to today's sponsor, Brilliant. Apple getting into the AI space certainly is interesting, but have you ever thought, how does AI work anyway? Well, now there's a fun and easy way to learn about that and other STEM subjects with Brilliant. Brilliant's course on artificial neural networks is perfect for that. I've used it to brush up on some background context when making episodes on AI, all the way back in 2020 when we were talking about GPT-3 before it blew up in the media 2 years later. Brilliant has interactive STEM courses in anything from maths to computer science and general science. Whether you just want to brush up on learning or need a refresher for your career, Brilliant has you covered. You can get started free for 30 days, and the first 200 people to sign up get 20% off an annual plan by visiting the URL brilliant.org/coldfusion. Thank you. Now back to the episode. According to Mark Gurman's Power On newsletter, the upcoming iOS 18 might introduce significant updates to the iPhone. According to Gurman, Apple's generative AI technology could significantly improve Siri, but that's not all. As per a report by The Information, Apple plans to use large language models to make Siri smarter. So ideally, Siri should be able to perform complex tasks from a simple voice command. If this becomes a reality, it would be a significant leap forward for Siri, but it also means that the Rabbit R1's days are numbered, even sooner than I first predicted. Even the AI companies purchased by Apple on their shopping spree indicate a big Siri push. So far, we know that Apple bought Inductive to improve Siri's data, Voices to help Siri understand natural language, and Pullstring to make Siri features easier to implement for iOS developers. After the conflicts within the Siri team, these advancements could be a welcome change for Apple and Siri users worldwide. Speaking of which, one incredible advantage that Apple has over its competitors is that they already have devices in the hands of over 1 billion users. With that in mind, Apple can finally leverage on-device or Edge AI. Unlike cloud computing for large language models, Edge AI runs on the device, eliminating the need for cloud servers or an internet connection. This can offer faster, more secure, and more reliable performance for AI computing. Apple has splashed $200 million to acquire Xnor AI. This was to improve its on-device processing capabilities. As we know, Apple now has ARM-based chips with custom neural processing units built for their laptops, watches, phones, and tablets. Being in complete control of both hardware and software components gives a tighter integration and efficiency than the competition. It's a great position for Apple to be in for on-device AI systems. This aligns with the visionary and pioneer in computer science, Alan Kay's philosophy. He once said, quote, "People who are serious about software should make their own hardware." Now, on-device large language.
Okay, well, that's pretty big news, because if you're an Apple person now, you're going to be able to live it. You're not going to have to go open up, an app for AI and use it. It's going to be right where you live, because all the apps infused in your iPhone that you're already using will be infused with AI. So it's a big development as far as how it's going to matriculate into the consciousness of everybody, whether we really realize it or not. That's a pretty big thing. Now, we've got a clip coming up on Bill Gates talking about AI in general, and I think it's pretty important what's happening out there with Microsoft. Microsoft is the biggest investor in OpenAI, so ChatGPT-4 is really kind of being, well, I wouldn't say controlled, but they're involved. Microsoft is involved. So Microsoft is way out ahead of a lot of people in the world of AI, and their stock is doing great. They're doing great as a company. I think for a little while there, they were the most valued company in the world, just as of a couple of weeks ago. I think they got knocked out of that by maybe NVIDIA or somebody, but anyway, we're going to hear from Bill Gates in this video about thoughts on AI and such, and really Microsoft has resurrected itself as one of the main players in AI out there right now. Let's take a look at this clip.
So let's take a look at some of the AI stories that you missed, because there were actually a lot that happened in the past few days. And I gotta be honest, there are actually a lot of robot stories, and it seems like the humanoid robot space is heating up quite a bit. One of the first interesting stories is that Sanctuary AI receives a new investment from BDC Capital and NBC, bringing the total investment to date over $140 million. This is pretty incredible. You can see that there is a huge amount of funding going into humanoid robots. $140 million to date in a humanoid robotics startup is a hefty amount, considering that this isn't a truly large company by any means compared to some of the others. You know, they're pretty small. But if you haven't been paying attention to Sanctuary AI, they've actually got a really nice humanoid robotics platform. This is their Phoenix Carbon robot. It's on the Carbon platform. And I think that, you know, since we're going to have a very interesting future with regards to how humanoid robots are deployed and used in the future with regards to the elderly, in care, and in factories, I think it's really intriguing to see more and more investment go into companies like this. Because one of the things that you might not know is that what you're currently seeing on screen right now is actually fully autonomous, and most people don't know that. So you can see the robot is really smooth and fluid, and I think it's actually genuinely one of the most fluid robots that I've ever seen. Like, this is something that is truly incredible, because I remember the first time I was watching the Sanctuary AI robotics demo, they actually showcased stuff that were autonomous, and I genuinely believed that it was completely teleoperated because you couldn't tell the difference. So this kind of footage shows you that, you know, once we do have robots that are able to move this quickly and this fluidly by themselves to do a range of different tasks, I think the world is going to look radically different. In more humanoid robotics news, you can see Figure and BMW Group's Spartanburg plant is actually moving towards real world use cases. So you can see right here that this is a fully autonomous, end to end. It's AI driven vision model, and it's got neural networks for all graphs. So you can see that this is 100% autonomous. You can see right here also that this is, AI driven manipulation. So the reason that I think that this is so crazy is because in January 2024, they announced a commercial agreement with BMW Manufacturing. And this is truly impressive because navigation is purely happening from object training in simulation. So you can see right here that for those of you who thought that, maybe humanoid robots are going to take a longer time to get not acclimatized, but to get, put into real world use cases, one of the places that I do know that humanoid robots are going to be is they're going to be in factories first. Like, you won't see them working in stores, doing your groceries and stuff like that. Although we do have those checkout robots, I guess, if you want to call them that. But what we will see is we will see humanoid robots actually be used in car factories, because the work here, you do, need repetitive stuff, and the repetitive stuff that you need to do, it's somewhat precise in a really strange way that a robot that, learns, based on its neural network, whatever policy it chooses to do, it's going to be able to do that a lot more effectively than, potentially some humans could. Because of course there are things like, the danger aspect. Sometimes you're dealing with extremely sharp materials, extremely hazardous materials, you've got all of these different factors. So once these robots do get a lot smarter and you can train them to be a lot more efficient, I wouldn't be surprised that if we do see these humanoid robots there being used for, whatever tasks that they might be. So this, of course, right now in its current phase is not something that, small companies can even dream about. These humanoid robots are extremely expensive. And of course, they cost a whopping amount of capital and labor to produce, considering all of the technical details that go into, producing a robot like this. But I think stuff like this does show us that we are actually in the future. I mean, if we actually truly take a look at exactly what is going on here, you can see that we have a robot that has learned how to place these things on this, machine or whatever it is, and is able to, pick and place it. and it's able to do bimanual picking, which is really cool. It's able to grab two with two hands, and then it's able to place them, solely just learned from simulation. So I think this is going to be really intriguing to see how these things move forward, because we know that not only have Figure been doing this, but also we did see Tesla experimenting with their Optimus humanoid robot platform. They actually also did it really, really well as well. So I'm wondering if this is going to be the future of factories. Now, as the future of factories continues to go on, what you guys need to know is, because these factories are getting increasingly more robotic, the future is not human made. The future is going to be just completely automated. And I'm going to show you guys why. So there was this tweet that was going viral, and it basically talks about how Amazon now has over 750,000 robots deployed, and each robot packer at a warehouse can literally replace 24 workers. Packers cost 1 million each day, which only take 2 years to recoup the cost. So this was something that was going very, very viral. This is something that, I was speaking about in my post AGI economics community. We were actually talking about the economics of Amazon and why it's such an interesting company with regards to the innovations it's doing. And I think here you can see that Amazon is taking a very innovative approach in order to making sure it is remaining as efficient as possible. And all of these robots are operating in this grid form. They are all managing to, locate all the packages, ship them out. Of course, you've got humans here in the loop, but it is something that is, robots and humans working together that seems to be a lot more effective than just traditional humans in the factory. And of course, these robots can work for 24 hours on end. So this is likely going to be something.
It's Alfred Edwards, genius AI friend. It's Alfred to enlighten us once again. To enlighten us once again.
Okay, welcome back. This is our Alfred segment, and we've got Alfred standing by here. The program is brought to you by Pendragon Apothecary in downtown Ocean Springs, pendragonapothecary.com. And we've got a lot of different tinctures in the store. This is maca root. Alfred, you're with us right now. You're listening in on this. Tell us a little bit about maca root and what is it used for? We have maca root tincture here in the store.
Maca root is quite an interesting herb, known for its numerous health benefits. Originating from the high Andes of Peru, it has been used traditionally for centuries. Maca root is often praised for its ability to enhance energy, stamina, and endurance. It's also known to support hormonal balance, making it popular for addressing issues related to libido and reproductive health. Additionally, some people use maca root to help manage stress and improve overall mood. Having maca root tincture in the store is great for customers looking for a natural way to boost their vitality and well-being.
Very good. Well, that's a little bit about maca root, and we've got it here at pendragonapothecary.com. And Alfred, thank you for being with us, and that is Alfred for today.
It's Alfred Edwards, genius AI friend. It's Alfred to enlighten us once again. To enlighten us once again.
Well, I'm going to get some maca root today. I think it's going to be something right on the top of my list for today. Anyway, we've got a lot of different products like that here at the Pendragon Apothecary, the sponsor of this program. We've got all of the various mushroom powders, chaga, reishi, cordyceps, lion's mane for different medicinal needs, cognitive, lion's mane, we've got that. We sell that pretty frequently. Also, we've got other tinctures and other teas made from blue lotus. We've got blue lotus tea, which is the flower of the blue lotus, and also blue lotus tincture. And we've got something very different. We've got blue lotus infused red wine here at Pendragon Apothecary, and it's online too, pendragonapothecary.com. Okay, well, that is our segment for the Pendragon Apothecary, the sponsor of the program. Now, on with more of our show. Well, We've got a quick clip from Elon Musk from just a couple of days ago. He made a speech. I think he was in Italy, and he made a speech, and he was talking about, he gets off on the other topics other than just high tech and AI and rockets and everything else. He's really pretty conscious as far as what's happening on the planet. And he talks about how the population is sort of stilted right now. We're not producing a lot of humans, and most of the industrialized world, population growth is going down. So he addressed that at his recent conference. Let's take a listen to Elon.
First question is about demography. I spoke with you in the past about that, and I think it's very important for you, and you pointed on that a lot of your discussion and your purpose. Is it?
Yeah, I really want to emphasize that it's important to have children and to create the new generation. And as simple as it sounds, if people do not have children, there is no new generation. So I'm very much in favor of humanity expanding and creating a bright and exciting future for the world. But fundamental to the furtherance of human civilization is having humans. As simple and basic as that sounds, and every year I look at the birth rates and I'm like, it's a bit depressing because birth rates seem to decline every year. And I think that perhaps my biggest advice to leaders, to government leaders, and to the people in general would be to make sure to have children to create the new generation. And I think any incentives that can be done to incent the new generation, to make it easier for women to have children and to support the children, I think would be very wise. This is so fundamental, and I really can't emphasize that enough. If you don't have a new generation, there is no new generation. Or with current birth rates, I think it may be the birth rate is maybe half of the replacement rate. And what that means is in 3 generations, the population will be roughly 1/10 of its current size. In 3 generations, maybe 4 generations, the population will be 1/10 of its current size. So I always want to emphasize this point because it is so basic and fundamental that if there's not at least a birth rate which is keeping population constant, then a people will disappear.
Disappear, Mr. Musk, disappear.
Disappear.
We have a lot of immigration. Somebody says that immigration is important for that reason. What's your point on that? Immigration is coming in Europe and is coming in America from the south of America and then Europe from the south of the Mediterranean Sea. What do you think about that?
Well, I think one can't depend on other countries for immigration. And in fact, if you look at, say, the population worldwide, and this is almost everywhere in the world, and it seems to be a function of how once a country industrializes, once a country urbanizes, the population immediately starts to decline. So one could say, for example, like China could not possibly solve its population with immigration because if China is currently tracking to maybe lose 40% of its population every generation, that would be 700 million, 800 million people, or roughly 700 million people. It's a lot, basically. You'd have to have the entire United States immigrate there twice every generation to simply maintain numbers, just for China. So immigration, there simply aren't enough numbers in immigration. And I think there is value to a culture. We don't want cultures. We don't want Japan to disappear. We don't want Italy as a culture to disappear. We don't want France as a culture to disappear. I think we have to maintain the sort of reasonable cultural identity of the various countries, or they simply will not be those countries. Italy is the people of Italy. The buildings are there, but really, what is Italy? Italy is the people of Italy. So, I mean, I just think and I speak as someone who is very much an environmentalist. I believe in building a sustainable future for the world. I think that there are very few people who, as an individual, who have done more than I have to help the environment with electric cars and solar and batteries to create a sustainable energy future, because we absolutely need a sustainable energy future. But there is an aspect of the...
Okay, we'll have more from Elon tomorrow on the show, continuing with his speech there at that conference in Italy. Okay, well, that's it for the program today, and I hope it's been enjoyable for you, and thank you for being with us today, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Yesterday is yesteryear. Set your sights for Tomorrowland. Future Shock is here to help you make your stand.
Ready, set,